My name is Bart van Ark and I'm Chief Economist at the Conference Board. We have a large research program on productivity, technology and innovation, and as part of that we are doing work around measuring the role of intangible capital in the economy. Intangible capital is, well, intangible. It is distinguished from the tangible capital, such as machinery, equipment and buildings, stuff that you can see and touch. Intangible capital, in contrast, represents the soft side of assets on companies' balance sheets. These include things like digital investments, including software and databases, intellectual property, such as research and development and design, and a wide range of so-called economic competencies, including workforce training, organizational innovations and branding. These are all important assets, which typically give companies their strategic advantages relative to their competitors. But intangible assets are also important for companies to innovate, and therefore they help to create what we call a knowledge economy these days. Although intangibles are becoming more important for the business, most intangibles don't make it to the balance sheet of a company or the national accounts of a country. Intangibles are mostly measured as cost, and therefore they're being expensed, and they detract from value added rather than add to value added, such as investment. However, if one adjusts the accounting for intangibles and treats them as investments, it turns out to be a pretty big deal for mature and emerging markets alike. In this chart, you see investment in all intangibles taken together as a share of total output produced, measured as the gross domestic product of an economy. For example, for the United States, at the right top end of the chart, you can see that in 2008, intangible investment made up as much as 12% of the total output. That is in fact slightly more than our investment in tangibles, which is only roughly 11%. The share of intangibles is somewhat lower in other mature economies, including several European countries and Japan. Strikingly, the UK and Japan are higher than most continental European countries. To understand some of those differences, it is useful to break the intangible intensity in GDP down in the part that comes from computerized investment, innovative property and economic competencies. Some striking differences emerge from that picture. The main reason why the United States and the United Kingdom have the highest intangibles intensity is because of the large share of economic competencies. This is probably because those economies have relatively large service sectors for which organizational innovations and so on are important. In contrast, in Japan and Germany, innovative property accounts for a large share of investment. This is probably caused by their larger manufacturing sectors, where research and development is relatively important. So why does China come out so high in terms of intangible investment in GDP compared to, for example, India? When looking at the breakdown, China is very different from mature economies. The role of economic competencies is quite small, because the economy is not very advanced. However, China spends relatively much on software, which may be related to the huge amount of IT hardware investment. But some analysts argue that the statistics on software are perhaps somewhat inflated too. The large share of innovative property in GDP can be traced to investment in design, which is probably related to China's construction boom. In any case, the big question is whether China's high investment in intangibles is actually a smart move to accelerate the country's climbing on the value chain, or that it gets easily wasted in an environment that still runs on surplus labor and low wages. Great stuff for further research, so stay tuned.